Dying Light 2 is not here. It gives us a lot of time to think about it. To think about the game and Dying Light and Dying Light the following. The question I want to ask is how in the world do we get from Dying Light and Dying Light the following to Dying Light 2? Well, that's what we're going to cover tonight. Or today. Or whenever. All right, well, let me remind you, before we get started talking about how to get from Dying Light to Dying Light 2, let me remind you, feel free to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. I come out with videos every Friday, if not more so. Okay? So feel free to come back, take a load off, and watch some content. But also, I invite you on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'll be streaming over on Twitch. Link, times, available in the description below. Let's talk about how to get from Dying Light to Dying Light 2. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be covering the Dying Light and Dying Light following endings. If you don't want to know what those are, you might want to hit stop and go do something else, because I'm going to spoil them and spoil you rotten in 3, in 2, in 1. Okay, let's talk about the events of Dying Light. Kyle Crane is otherwise victorious, right? He's able to overcome Saruman. Saruman? This isn't Lord of the Rings. Saruman? He's able to keep the GRE at bay and keep the data on that special rugged LaCie drive or hard disk, whatever it is. Looks like a LaCie drive. And we're greeted, I guess you could say, with the end scene of Good Night, Good Luck. Then we're gifted this extra following DLC content. The following has at least 3 endings for which I'm aware. 2 endings through the mother. 1 ending which is an Easter egg, and you don't need the full game, or you don't have to complete all the missions in order to obtain this one. Now, 2 of the endings are nuclear endings. The Easter egg is a nuclear ending, and one of the 2 mother endings is a nuclear ending. Now, the 2 nuclear endings cannot make sense in terms of how do we get from Dying Light and Dying Light the following over to Dying Light 2. What is it, 15 years later or something like that? It's impossible. Nuclear bombs don't have a small blast zone. They have a big one. And not only do they have a big one, they have nuclear fallout that ranges for miles and miles and miles. It makes no sense whatsoever. If Kyle Crane ended up doing one of the 2 nuclear endings, the Harran Virus would not live. It would be, for all intents and purposes, extinguished. And yet, 15 years later, Dying Light 2 shows that the virus lives on and prospers. So we have to conclude, right, that neither of the nuclear endings make any sense, and that they did not happen. Or so we think. It's possible that the nuclear endings could occur and the virus would still live. There's a scene in the first gameplay for Dying Light, aka not the following, I don't know why I said that. And it's a cutscene. And it's after Kyle Crane makes it into Sector 0. And the cutscene is a newsreel. It's an interview of the last extracted known living survivor from Harran. Let's watch that.
I was the last survivor left in the quarantine. I can't believe I made it out. I can't believe I'm still alive.
Okay. How plausible is it that this individual who was interviewed was actually infected? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe with COVID-19, there was someone who came from China into the US and was quarantined, but despite the quarantine, ended up coming down with the sickness after the quarantine. Is it possible, therefore, to conclude that this individual who was, quote, quarantined and subsequently extracted and all that stuff, is it possible? Is it possible that he had the virus? Is it possible that after being extracted, he spread the virus? Is it possible that this survivor is how the Harran virus gets out of Harran and goes to live on and prosper no matter what Kyle Crane does in the following? Is it possible? For me, it's possible. It's feasible, and it makes total sense. Techland came out and said that the endings of the following are both canonical. Well, what was the third ending? I told you two of them. The third ending, Kyle Crane does not blow up the city, but he fights the mother and kills her. But then he becomes a volatile. It's insinuated that he ends up attacking a small family, some kids, a woman. But we don't see that. So with that ending, it makes total sense. Harran was never saved. The virus lives on. Okay? But they said both endings were canonical. Well, what happens if Kyle Crane pulls one of the triggers on the bombs? That doesn't make any sense unless the virus already got out and it didn't matter what Kyle Crane did. The damage had been done. The virus was spread. The virus was out. I think it makes total sense. What I would like to see is a comic book or some webisodes. Something for us to consume and help us understand the events leading up to Dying Light 2. I'd like to see Techland release that soon to drum up hype for Dying Light 2, without giving away spoilers, of course. But that's just what I would like. It would be cool if they did some DLC to help bridge the gap as well for Dying Light in the weeks leading up to Dying Light 2. That would be cool. But it's not about me, and I'm sure the story's in good hands. But now it's just a matter of patiently waiting, and that's the hard part. So what do you think? How do we get from Dying Light and the following to Dying Light 2? What are your theories? Got any ideas? Care to share? Put it in the comments below. Now, if you don't want to put it in the comments below, that's fine. I would encourage you to stop by my stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays. Link and times in the description below. Feel free to share with me your opinions, your theories in stream while I'm playing some video games. Come chill and chat and hang out. It would be cool. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button. We'll see you here on Fridays for more content. And with that said, good night, good luck. We'll see you on the line.